All right, and we are live on the second edition of this new look Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm Rocco. He is Jared Kozar to my left, and we are here at the studios at the Chronicle Telegram. Excited to break down some Week 2 action again right here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. I want to thank our sponsors first and foremost, Jared, for hopping in with the wrap-up show as well as all of our games early on this season. Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, of course, Valley Chevrolet in Wellington, EcoTree Services, and Stewart's TV and Appliance. Again, just a huge thank you to all of our sponsors for being a part of the games and the show. And it was an exciting Week 2, I think, across the county. Some expected results, Jared. Certainly a couple of surprises, I think, as well from across the county. And hopefully this week, as we try to effort our coaches back onto the show, I know it's kind of a new look thing, and hopefully our tech savvy coaches are able to figure things out. So I texted them the link to join earlier this morning. So hopefully we'll have a nice full rundown of coaches. Mike Rice from Columbia set to kick us off here at about 9:10. He'll join us shortly. We'll talk to Bill DeFucci from Vermilion. They go back-to-back in the Stillman Cup for the first time in a long time, off the legs of Evan Coons, going for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns for that young man. Jack Armstrong from Midview, he'll join us in the 9 o'clock hour, as will Kyle Clark of Black River, Brian Morgan from North Ridgeville. And how about Kenny Washington, the Oberlin Phoenix? They get their first win in quite a long time, knocking off Brooklyn last night 13-12. And Rob Howes from Wellington will join us at about 10:20. We'll have some more to discuss later on in the 10 o'clock hour. But, Jared, let's take a look at our scores from last night before we go any further. And there were, again, some really good games from across the area. I'll start things off here with our WEOL games on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel and over at WEOL.com. It was Lorain knocking off Elyria 41-14 on Stream 2 over at WEOL.com. Vermilion knocked off Firelands 42-12, again, going back-to-back in the Stillman Cup. And then our Medina County matchup on Stream 3 saw Cloverleaf upending Keystone 22-6.
Elsewhere, Rocco, Lorain County League action. Again, not league games, but still in that non-conference genre. It was Black River getting a win over Northwestern, 37-7. We'll catch up with Kyle Clark here later on in the program. Woodridge upends Brookside, 28-0. The Cards have been held scoreless thus far in the campaign. Westlake, a winner over Clearview last night, 35-14. They rebound over a tough one against the Middies. I think that tells you a lot about that Midview program there, that Westlake was able to come back and have that type of success against Clearview. And Columbia over Fairview, 27-20. Mike Rice coming up here just as soon as we can get him to talk about that tough affair last night over in Columbia Station. Oberlin knocks off Brooklyn 13-12. The defense holds at the end to keep the Hurricanes out of the end zone. And Kenny Washington, hats off to him, a 31-game skid. That snapped. It's a new era of Oberlin football officially, and we're going to hopefully catch up with Coach later on in the program. And Wellington, a winner over Mapleton, 28-12. Rob Howes and company get in the left-hand column now in evening that mark at 500 on the 2025 campaign.
You mentioned what a 31-game losing skid it was for Oberlin. 2021, the last time that those Phoenix fans saw a victory.
And I know that you're a little bit newer in terms of to Lorain County. You really can't say that anymore. You're
2020,
coming up on 6 years with the organization, and what a pleasure it's been. But the point is that you're not familiar enough, and it's no knock. But this was a program that out of 2014, I think they had 7 wins.
Wow!
So you're thinking to yourself like, okay, yeah, maybe seems like a long time for somebody like myself, but maybe not somebody a little bit younger. That's not that long ago. They can get back there and maybe harness some of that tradition.
Yeah, that was a fantastic result there for Kenny Washington and his Oberlin Phoenix. Again, we're hoping to talk to him right around 10:10 later on this morning. A Thursday night result out of the SWC. The Avon Eagles went down to Florida and took on the Spruce Creek Hawks. Sean Bennett was actually in the house for that one, and it was the Eagles falling to the Hawks 25-22 on Thursday night. Buckeye upended Amherst 21-13 in what's become a really good non-conference game between those two sides. It was Midview over North Olmsted 27-20, another nice win for Jack Armstrong and his guys. North Ridgeville upends Valley Forge 37-12. So Brian Morgan and friends kind of picking up where they left off last year. I know he was very interested to kind of see how his big guys up front would develop in a quick fashion, as they had to with kind of a new group up front for the Rangers this season. So far, so good through week 2. Euclid knocking off Berea Mid-Park 28-26. That was one of the more surprising results, I think, for me, Jared, just because you look at the fact that, Berea Mid-Park, I know they're kind of in our area, not in our area. They're in the SWC. They play all of our local schools, but we don't always cover them right. But we know they're typically a pretty consistently good program. Euclid, they've had their struggles, right? Obviously, they've been kind of down. So I don't really know who that tells me more about in that matchup, Euclid or Berea Mid-Park. But I guess once we get into conference play, we'll find out a lot more about the Titans.
And one of the things that you usually can count on, as you mentioned, with the Titans, prolific offense. They can usually put up points in bunches. Keeping them off the scoreboard might be a different story, but for them to have to come from behind like that to try to win the game and fall short, that seems a little odd to me.
And one more score to pass along here. It was Mayfield knocking off Elyria Catholic 28-13. And you know what? You got the Wahoo hat on today, Jared. How about the guards? They knock off the Mariners last night. 5-4, I believe, was the final. Stephen Kwan, the walk-off sacrifice fly. So just when you think they folded and keeled over and the season's lost, you look in those wild card standings. They're 4 back. The team right in front of them, well, the Royals, but also the Seattle Mariners. So the rest of this weekend, pretty big for the guards.
Well, and again, and I think it's so there's not a whole lot of coincidence in life, no matter how much you want to look at it. And they were celebrating that 95 team that won so many games in dramatic fashion and defeated the Seattle Mariners in the first round of the playoffs that year. So kind of a big deal there. They did it in guards ball fashion, I guess you would call it. I hate using that. I hate that. But the point is that, like it or not, you're not going to reinvent yourself in September. So you got to play guards ball the rest of the way out. It's the way things are. If you can retool in the offseason and see if something happens, maybe you do it. But for right now, it's working. They've won 3 in a row. And again, your most important opponent is right in front of you right now. Take care of business this weekend and see what can happen. Like you said, you're not out of it. You got 30 games left.
Right,
I mean, it's a stacked up month of September for them.
Yeah, and it always seems like whoever the masses on social media decide to go after, they immediately turn it on, right? In the last couple of weeks, it seems Nolan Jones was kind of the culprit with some of the poor performances that he had pieced together. All of a sudden, he comes to life. He kind of sprung that whole comeback last night with the 2-run shot in the 7th. So, yeah, hey, who knows? Who knows how the rest of this month of August and then into September will go for the Guardians. So I see Mike Rice has joined us down below. So we'll add him to the stage after this quick timeout. We'll be right back with more of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you live from the Chronicle Telegram. We'll be right back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
All right, back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. And let's welcome on to the stage here Mike Rice, head coach of the Columbia Raiders, who again joins us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Coach, you are our very first guest of this new look Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Hopefully you're hearing us okay over on your end. So if you are, I'll just go ahead and start with congratulations on the win last night. How are we doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. You guys got me?
We got you loud and clear,
right.
Which just
Beautiful.
That is music to my ears right now this morning. You have no idea. So, Coach, let's just start with last night's game, right? I mean, you guys get down, 2 scores early, I think, if I read that correctly in the Chronicle Telegram. Things going all Fairview's way, but you get a freshman of all people that kind of steps in the way of a Burke Lowry pass there from Fairview, kind of sets you guys up for your first score of the ball game, and that really seemed to help get you guys settled last night, didn't it?
Yeah, it was huge. Things did not go our way early. Things were not going our way early, and things just felt sped up a little bit for our kids. But we just kind of tried to keep them calm and stay the course. And then you get a really big interception in a big moment by a freshman, and Peyton stepped in front, and really the momentum kind of swung our way at that point, and we were able to hang on. to that momentum going, all the way to halftime.
What have you made of
Tie
this
it
match,
back up. Sorry.
Coach? No, you're fine. You're fine, Coach. What have you made of this matchup with Fairview the last 2 years? I mean, it seems like that's become a really competitive non-conference game, but between both, your Raiders and then those Warriors.
Well, it's like I said last night, I love what they're doing over there. I think they got a great coaching staff, and y- y- they've really in the last 2 years made these huge strides, and really, they've got some great players. They've got some good looking players as far as, they you can tell they're hitting the weight room hard over there, and it's I love it. It's I told our kids before the game, man, these are the games that you live for, that you're going to remember, and this is why you do all the hard work, because these are the great games. These are the ones that you want to be in, and that you play this game for.
Mike, and you reference getting the kids up for the game and making sure that they're on point and on task. You pitch a shutout last week. Your defense a little bit tougher task. What's the week of practice like, and what's the message in terms of it's not going to be the same as it was last week, and there's going to be some adversity. But you mentioned a freshman makes a big play and keeps you guys in the game heading into the locker room.
Yeah, speaking of the defense, I'll just say, like, not only did they pitch a shutout week one, but to hold this Fairview offense to 20 points, and really, when you really look at it, set up two of our scores last night. The defense is winning games like by themselves in a way. But that week of practice it's a lot of prep. It's a lot of film watching, so we kind of know what to expect, so that we can be that much quicker on a Friday night. And our guys really did a nice job of studying the film and studying their opponent, which is so important. And then Coach Bucher and Coach Durrani on the defensive back end have been so great at getting our guys prepared for a tough task that we had last night at Fairview.
And you think about that too, Mike, taking care of the football. Rocco and I were talking about it earlier today. You didn't really have to throw the ball around the yard too much last night. Not a whole lot going on there. Is that by design, or is that just kind of literally taking what the defense gives you in terms of what Fairview's throwing back at you?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think, we were able to hit a big pass early on, that kind of softened them up a little bit to being aggressive to the run. And then once we get that, then yeah, we're gonna be able to run our run game. So hitting the passes when we take those opportunities, which we did last night. Logan had a nice throw to Ambrose Beach, I think, for 40 yards, and you know, I, that kind of opens up some of our run game.
Again, Mike Rice, head coach of the Columbia Raiders, joining us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, our very first guest on this new look wrap-up show. Coach, cannot thank you enough for joining us. And, you mentioned Logan Mangy. We just want to ask you about him, right? We didn't have our typical preview show earlier on, before the season got started, so I didn't really get to ask you about just what expectations would be like for him, how his summer went and everything like that. I know he kind of got thrusted into that quarterback spot last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Just what have you kind of seen from him now through 2 weeks, and how do you kind of expect the rest of his campaign to go this year?
Yeah, he's such a savvy player, and he's a smart player, and he's a great kid, and that's why we like him at that quarterback position. He's working hard to get better and better at, because he wasn't a quarterback coming in, as a freshman. He was a receiver, and we felt he could be that guy for us, and he works really hard to be that guy. And he's not the biggest kid in the world, and he's getting he's taking some shots, and he handles them. He's showing great toughness in there, which got to have at the quarterback position. And so we're excited about where he's at and where he's headed. And he's got great guys around him. Our offensive line is getting better, and Xavier Hendon and Jose Rivera are doing a great job running the ball with him.
Yeah, I remember both, Hendon and Rivera last year really did a lot for you guys in the backfield. So I got to imagine just having kind of the bulk of your top runners from last year back this season. I got to imagine that helped, not make things easier in terms of like implementing the offense and getting ready for the season, right? Because it's always difficult. We know that. But I got to imagine that's just sort of a nice thing to have in your back pocket, knowing that you had some experience in terms of what you guys like to do with the bread and butter of your offense, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Watching Fairview film from last year relative to where we're at now it's a huge difference, and a lot of that is exactly what you just said. Having those guys back, knowing they know the offense a lot better, and they're bigger and stronger, as they've gotten older. So absolutely.
Mike, to take you back just a moment to your comments about Mangy and the quarterback position, talk about the pressure at Columbia. You had a lot of success at quarterback, and I know you haven't been there for all of those years, but really going back basically 20 years, there's been nothing but competent quarterback play at Columbia. And you take a young man like that and pull him aside and say, you're going to be the guy. That comes with its own set of challenges, doesn't it?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, but Logan embraces that, and he's a yes sir, no sir kind of guy, and so when we brought that up to him, really at the end of his freshman year, he's yes sir, I'll do whatever you guys need me to do, and now he's really kind of owned it and loves it, and embraces that challenge of being that next great quarterback here.
So, Coach, as we start to take a look ahead next week for you guys are back at home as you welcome in Northwestern. Black River just had some fun at the expense of that Northwestern team. So I got to imagine there's certainly maybe some confidence for you guys heading into that. Obviously, you'll have to, put together the week of practice like you guys always do. But, through 2 weeks, you guys are 2-0. You're outscoring your opponents 57-20. You're back at home in week 3. I got to imagine there's kind of just a feel-good momentum about where things are going right now here at the start of 2025.
Yeah, I mean, each week we try and go 1-0, and we're going to do that again this week. I haven't really had a chance to watch too much Northwestern film yet, but we're still kind of wrapping up last night's game, and but we're going to get to it here soon, and I'm sure they're going to pose some different challenges for us, and we're gonna get back at it, and we're gonna look to go 1-0 again, and we got military night, so we're going to be honoring the military and those that have served for our country, and we're excited about that too.
Fantastic. Well, Coach, we greatly appreciate the time here this morning. Again, you are our very first guest on this kind of new
That's
look
awesome.
Zoom type setup for the wrap-up show. So, yeah, when you responded that you could hear us loud and clear and we were able to hear you loud and clear, you have no idea how giddy that made me inside. So,
really appreciate it.
So, well, I like Coach, it. I like this format a lot better than the phone call. So.
Hey, we'll take that. We'll take that. All right. That's a nice review.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, good deal. Coach, congratulations. Thank you again for joining us. And here's hoping to some more conversations on later this season.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for all you guys do.
You got it, Coach. And that is Columbia Raider head coach Mike Rice joining us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Boy, get the Google reviews flying in, Jared. That's what a guy. Head coach Mike Rice from Columbia. That's great stuff.
Hey, this is going to work both ways for Coach Rice and us. One more for the good guys.
Oh my gosh, that was wherever Mike Rice is on the other end. Let me get one of these. There we go. Oh my goodness gracious! Wow. All right, so that is awesome. That is awesome that worked out like it did. So big thanks to Mike Rice for joining us here on this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. All right, let's step aside, take a quick break, and when we come back, we will head to the SBC, that Sandusky Bay Conference, where it was the Stillman Cup over at Firelands last night in Vermilion. They go back-to-back wins in that matchup for the first time in a long time. They got the Falcons last year, and they got them again this year. Evan Coons running for 414 yards, 5 touchdowns for that young man. So we will hopefully be hearing from Coach Bill DeFucci after this timeout. We will be right back with more of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. You're watching live here on WEOL.com and on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco-Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco-Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at Eco-Tree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me, when your trees need attention or even require removal, contact Eco-Tree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find Eco-Tree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
Well, welcome back to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. You just heard from Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Stewart's TV and Appliance, and Eco-Tree Services, three of our proud sponsors for our ball games early on this season, as well as the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We're hoping to get back out to the dealership just as soon as we kind of get this, new look show solidified. But how about that 1-for-1 so far with Mike Rice joining us from Columbia? He was able to hear us. We were able to hear him. So we will take whatever technical victories we can right now. Waiting on Bill DeFucci, head coach of the Vermilion Sailors, to hopefully join us here shortly, as there's a lot to talk about from that game over at Firelands last night. Again, his tailback, senior captain Evan Coons, running here, there, everywhere over that Falcons defense. Again, they got it in the CT this morning, the Chronicle Telegram, 414 yards for Coons, the third best total in a game in Lorain County history. 5 touchdowns along with that. Just a dominant performance start to finish for those Vermilion Sailors. But Jared, I guess while we wait on Coach DeFucci, if he's able to join us here, we won't hear from Lorain head coach James Boyas. He got a win over Elyria last night. You guys were on site at Lorain for that one. Just wanted to maybe get a couple of quick thoughts from you on that victory. I know it kind of started quick with a couple of scores real early. Pace slowed down a little bit as the game went on, but at the end of the night, the Titans come away with a big-time rival win.
Well, certainly, and very little, I think, is more exciting than a game when you could say, well, there were 3 scores in 90 seconds, and that's exactly what we had over there at George Daniel Stadium or George Daniel Field in Lorain last night. And it was really a situation of Lorain got out there, set the tone. Elyria answered right back. When you think about some of the struggles that the Pioneers have endured, I go back to your game last week against Mayfield. They never really were out of that game. And I think that was the case in the first half against Lorain last night. They were never really out of it, just the way it unfolded in the second half. As you mentioned, Lorain was able to sort of impose their will. They're pretty big up front. Mm-hmm. They did some things that I think that, Elyria had anticipated, but Lorain was able to be Lorain. And that's a 9-win football team from last year. Yeah. And, they didn't play well in the second half against Maple Heights. And I think that they kind of took it out in the Pioneers. It's going to be a tough road to hoe when you talk about conference play for Elyria. Mm-hmm. So, you just want to see what's going to happen for Coach Williams over there, because it's a situation where, he's given it his all. There's talent out there. It's a little bit of blending it together.
Yeah, it certainly is a work in progress. No question about that. And I see he's joined us here at the bottom of the screen, so we'll go ahead and throw him on stage here. Coach Bill DeFucci from the victorious Vermilion Sailors now joins us right here live on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. So, Coach, you're our second guest here on this new look wrap-up show. Hopefully you're able to hear us A-okay over there. So I'll start with, again, congratulations on the win last night. How are we doing this morning?
We're doing great. We're in film right now, kind of breaking down the good and the bad and the ugly, and making sure we're making corrections to get ready for next week.
How much bad and ugly are you guys going to be able to find in that film last night? And I'm only half joking when I say that, because, you guys, you roll to a 42-12, 30-point victory. And again, I'm half kidding, because, we were there. Certainly there's always things to clean up. But, man, a lot of positives, I'm sure, in that film room this morning, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're critical of our guys. We tell them we're only as good as our worst play. So we want to make sure we get in that film room. We're making the corrections as many as possible, as quick as possible, so we can be the best versions of ourselves. So you're right. Fortunate to have things go well for us. Line blocked man, they blocked their tails off last night, and having Evan back is a great burst to that offense. That batting back is just another weapon in that.
Good game last night.
Thank you.
Coach, as we look at just some of the numbers that you mentioned, the guys up front, and you mentioned the rushing effort, Evan Coons, 414 yards for that young man, 5 touchdowns, third best total in a game in Lorain County history. I mean, just a really incredible performance from start to finish for that young man. No one was really able to tackle him, but again, a lot of the credit has to go to the guys up front as well, right?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, we were getting to our assignments up front, and Evans he's got a glide to him. He's got a glide to his stride, and he's got a great stiff arm, and he knows when to burst. He read it well. But I'll tell you what, we were counting pancakes this morning a little bit here in the offensive line film session, and yeah, the boys did a good job up front. We're very, very proud of what they were able to do, and it's a reflection of them up front. They don't get a lot of the glory up front. You hear the backs and you hear the records and stuff, but it really starts with them up front, and they did a heck of a job for us last night.
Coach, at what point for you with this fast start, and I know that there's a lot left on the table, certainly in front of you. You're just 2 games in, but you're 2 W's on the season. Talking about the momentum from last year, and I think there was the sentiment around the county and certainly in the city of Vermilion. And hey, this is a great story. These guys are really good. It sort of feels like it used to back in the 90s. This is a good feeling. When does that go away, that it's a good feeling, and now that it's a reality with this group, and this is their story in their season?
We talked about this kind of when we took over, that expectations are changing here. Our mentality is to bring back that expect to win every week and not hoping to win. So yeah, it's refreshing. It's refreshing that when adversity strikes, the football teams last couple of years, that they don't go into a spiral. They kind of step up and they want to go toe to toe. So very proud of their mental approach and their ability to fight through adversity week in and week out.
In a rivalry game where you guys have taken it on the chin in years past, you get back-to-back wins against, conference aside, because they're not a member of your conference, but this one means a lot each and every year, no matter what the situation. And for you to go back-to-back, you're kind of tilting that scale.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've been on the losing side of this rivalry for a very long time, and we saw the scoreboard pictures and we saw the T-shirt postings, and you're right. They're right in our backyard, and that's what makes rivalry so special. It's the proximity, and it's the kids grow up playing other sports together, play travel baseball or basketball together. So to be on this side of it and actually put 2 together now I think that little confidence, that little swagger, is starting to swing a little bit in our favor.
Again, Bill DeFucci, head coach of the Vermilion Sailors, joins us here this morning on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show as guys get a 30-point victory, 42-12 over Firelands last night. Coach, looking back at some of the key moments in that game, I go to that Firelands opening drive, right? They march pretty much right down the field, picking up big chunks of yardage. They get down to the goal line. You guys force a fumble. You pounce on it, and then you drive 95 yards to the end zone to make it a 7-0 game. And really, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that sequence, those 2 drives, again, you guys forcing the fumble, then marching 95 yards to the end zone, that really seemed to set the tone for how the rest of the night would go.
Yeah, you're completely right. And we talked last week about, winning in all phases of the game. I mean, every phase of the game played a vital role for us last week. It presented itself this week as well, because they did come out of the gate. They won the toss. They took the football, wanted to get that score up quick and kind of try and deflate the energy. And they were moving the ball well on us, just like you're saying, chunk here, chunk there, work themselves down inside. Then defense comes up and they make a great play. Then we put the offense on the field, and the offense does their job, and they march down the field and they get the score in, that opening drive. So complementary football, I think, is something that we're starting to recognize that these guys are being able to absorb from us. Our expectations to win in every phase of the game and complement each other, and they did a great job of that last night.
Coach, again, just looking at a couple of individuals here, I believe, and my gosh, I don't have the roster in front of me, so shame on me, but he threw a number of just vicious lead blocks for Evan last night. Aiden Kaiser, I believe, is 43 for you guys, correct?
Yep. Isaac Kaiser as our fullback, he's 43. His brother Aiden Kaiser is 34. Yes. So that's what I mean. We got the Kaiser brothers back there, and they're a great compliment to our backfield, that running back room that we have here, and great blockers, great runners. Pass catchers out of the backfield, they do it all.
And your quarterback, Drake Hooks, I mean, he had a beautiful touchdown ball. I believe it was Micah Smith who caught it right
Yes.
at the front corner of the end zone on a play where I believe Hooks was rolling against his strong side, right? He's going to his left. He's a
Yep.
righty throwing it against
Yep.
his body, and he dropped it right in the bucket. So I guess that goes to what you already alluded to earlier on in this interview, Coach. You guys really had it clicking in all facets. I know people see that running, the rushing numbers from last night and think, oh, my goodness. But, you guys seem more than capable of being able to put it in the air as well.
Yeah, and that was what was refreshing come off of week one. We threw for 150 last week and rushed for 170 and changed last week. And this week the ground game was working, but we were able to mix in the passing game. And Drake did a fantastic job of finding his reads, getting the ball where it needs to be. And again, the complementary players are those guys that, are just where they need to be, where we want to ask them to be and contribute to our success.
Bill, mission accomplished last night against Firelands. It's the first of 3 on the road for you. Is that something early on in the season that you like about the way the schedule unfolds, or is it something where you prefer more symmetry there in terms of home away, home away?
I don't think I really have a preference one way or the other. We look at being 1-0 at the end of every week. So this week we're gonna be like, you know what, we're need to be 1-0 this week. We're on the road. Let's go get after it.
Good deal. Well, Coach, we always appreciate the time. Thank you very much for joining us here on this new look Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We appreciate you kind of bearing with us with the new setup here. Hopefully everything went okay on your end with that this morning. But again, congratulations on the victory last night. Huge win for you and your guys, and best of luck to you guys next week.
Thank you. Well done, man. Great show. Appreciate you guys covering us.
You got it. That's head coach Bill DiFucci of the Vermilion Sailors joining us right here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Thought maybe cutting our video feed might sort of help with the reception there with Coach DiFucci. So hopefully nobody missed our ugly mugs that much while we were talking with Coach there. But
tough sell.
Yeah, I got a feeling they didn't. So I see Jack Armstrong also has joined us below. So I'll tell you what, why don't we sneak in just a real quick timeout, and when we return, Coach Armstrong, we will get to you right here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. His guys got a 27-20 victory over North Olmsted last night. We'll talk about it next right after this timeout.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you live from the studios of the Chronicle Telegram, recapping some Week 2 action from Friday night and Thursday night as Avon went down to Florida. Unfortunately for the Eagles, lost to Spruce Creek, the Hawks, upending Mike Elder's Eagles 25-22. But again, lots of exciting action from Week 2 locally that we'll continue to talk about. Big thanks to Columbia's Mike Rice and Vermilion's Bill DiFucci for joining us so far this morning. And why don't we welcome in our third guest of this new look Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. It's Jack Armstrong, the head man over at Midview, as the Middies pick up a big win last night over North Olmsted. 27-20 was the final score there. Coach, as always, we greatly appreciate the time this morning. Are you able to hear us okay over there on your end?
Yep, loud and clear.
Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. We got you as well. So, again, congratulations on the win last night. Again, 27-20, the final score there. You guys moved to 2-0. And as I look at the numbers here in the Chronicle Telegram, you guys are outscoring your opponents 75-34 at the start of the season. Again, off to that 2-0 start. So just, I guess, before diving into that win last night, just as a whole through 2 weeks, I got to imagine you're pretty pleased with what you're seeing from your offense and defense. I'm sure there's things that you guys will look to adjust this week, as that always goes with high school football. But again, a really solid start to 2025 for the Middies, huh?
Yeah, I think that it all starts in the off season, and the boys really bought in, and we're kind of rebuilding the brand, and the boys know that the vision of the team is to rebuild the M, and with that, they know that in the past when Midview's good, we're the most physical football team, and they kind of they're living it, they're breathing it at practice during the games, and we've definitely seen it these last 2 weeks. So I'm happy where we're at.
Is that something you've noticed since taking over, Coach? Because this is how many seasons now is this for you as the head coach over there?
Yeah, this is year 3, and it's wonderful to be where I'm from and kind of know the expectations of when Midview was good. And as an alumni, as a coach, these kids they really buy in because I got a lot of alumni around all the time. So the more years, the more the standard is expected, and they know it this year. It's year 3, and it's we're rolling. So it's a good feeling.
Yeah, no, we've certainly asked you a couple of times just about that whole, the pride that you take with getting this program back to where it needs to be and should be, and you're doing a tremendous job in getting it there thus far, Coach. So kudos to you on that front. Looking at last night's win again, 27-20, you guys get it done over North Olmsted. Let's start with Marcus McMahon, right? He goes for a 9-yard touchdown. He had a 40-yard touchdown as well in there. He took a screen pass. It says 87 yards to the house. I'm reading here in the Chronicle Telegram this morning. That young man, I got to see him once or twice last year, if I'm not mistaken. Seems like he's just picking up right where he left off.
Yeah, the best thing about Marcus, just to reiterate, he's really bought into being the most physical guy on the field, and he's always given the hit and never the one receiving it. And I couldn't go without giving a special shout out to the offensive line too, because they're a special group. I have a lot of experience on the line, and whatever call we make, they make us right because of the experience they have. So Marcus plus them, I tell the boys that we win with the line and we lose with the line, and let Marcus go make plays. So, yeah.
And, Coach, that kind of transfers over to the defensive side of the ball, too. Last week you saw against Westlake, and certainly yesterday against an opponent you're very familiar with in North Olmsted. It is done and won at the line of scrimmage. But on the defensive side of the ball, you guys don't lose a lot in terms of drop-off at all, do you?
No, I think that once again the off season was huge for us. Our lifting guy does a great job preparing these kids, and we have 9 new guys on defense. So the more experience they get, the faster they're playing. And with kids like Braden Amoki, which is a tackle machine, and Sawyer coming back as a junior, McMillan, it's the future's bright for these boys.
And, you mentioned getting guys back, talk about quarterback play of Shea Williams, just somebody that you can trust to make good decisions and know what's on the line in certain points of a game. They got pretty tight down the stretch last night.
Yeah, absolutely. The best thing about Shea is not only is he a good football player, he's a great human being. He's very coachable, and we know that he's going to make us right. He's going to listen to us. It's not going to be Shea doing his thing. He knows it's we before me, and he's going to continue to get better and get more comfortable after coming back from his injury last year.
Again, Jack Armstrong, head coach of the Midview Middies, joins us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. His guys get a 27-20 win over North Olmsted last night, as now they get set to prepare for Elyria Catholic this week. They'll play host to the Panthers next Friday night. So, Coach, I'm sure it goes without saying, the boys, you probably don't need a whole lot of extra motivation to get yourselves ready for this Friday night. And I think that's just kind of, how your non-conference schedule seems to work out, right? Some really good competitive games. You get a rivalry here at the tail end of non-conference play, before you jump into conference play. So seems like, the non-conference, you're maybe starting to see some things and do some things that you would have wanted to get accomplished here in the non-conference, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the senior class picked the saying Parabellum, which means prepare for war, and they've really bought into that as well. And we know that the SWC, that is war every single week. So, and we're going to be going against a very good EC team. They have a lot of talent. So this week, it doesn't just start on Friday; it starts on Monday. We're going to get better every single day, and we're going to go out there and be the most physical football team come Friday.
Well, Coach, we certainly appreciate the time this morning. Thank you for joining us on this new look Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Congratulations again on the win over North Olmsted last night, and best of luck to you guys as you get ready for EC this Friday night.
Thanks for all you guys do, and go Middies.
There he is, Jack Armstrong, head coach of the Midview Middies, joining us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. And year 3, as you said, and he's getting it moving in the right direction, I think, right? And that's I know that can be cliche, and some of our coaches, they don't like to talk about it all the time. I know Coach Thome over at Amherst is kind of in that same boat. He's gotten it moved back in the right direction. I know they took it out a Buckeye last night, but all in all, he's certainly getting the program back to where, he feels it should be and deserves to be. And same thing with Jack Armstrong in the Midview Middies. And, again, another thing we've kind of hit over the head a bunch of times, but the fact that he is a Midview guy, I just think that's always cool when you have an alum coming in, and there's just something extra special about watching a guy that went through, that school and that locker room and played on that field be a part of the program rebuild.
Well, and the signature sign off there, go Middies. He incorporates that into every conversation you have. And it's because he means it, he lives it, he breathes it. That's exactly what you get with a guy like Jack Armstrong.
Yeah.
And it's good to see. The challenges when he took over that program were great. And it didn't take as long as maybe even he thought. He probably would tell you that in a private moment, that they're further ahead. Last year, it seems that each season they get a signature win too. And that's something that a group can say, well, the season may have not gone the way we wanted to, but we did have that one. And we can think about that. We can reflect on that and use that to build on. And for a group, like he said, 9 guys coming in on the defensive side of the ball that you've turned over.
That's tough.
That's yeah. And to call yourselves 2-0 after 2 weeks with 9 new starters. Yeah. It's a big accomplishment.
Well, and you also consider that, the high school football summer in preseason, it's not what it used to be, right? Like it's not as physical. You don't get as many days, and we understand that, right? With the player safety and everything, that's all done for the right reasons. But what that lends itself to is when you have that many new guys on either side of the ball, but especially defensively, when, there's just so much communication that has to happen and adjusting and seeing what the offense is doing and playing off of that and trying to force them to do what you want them to do. It's a lot that has to come together in a short amount of time. And hey, so far so good for the Middies through 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, looking good right now in Midi Country.
Yeah, absolutely. One of 4 undefeated teams I think left here in Lorain County already. So kind of, it's amazing how quick that's happened.
I hadn't thought about it.
Right. I think it's right here in the season. Well, we can look during break, but so fantastic stuff there. Hey, also noticed something here looking at the Chronicle Telegram in front of me. We talked about Evan Coons' record-setting night over at Vermilion or over at Firelands for Vermilion last night, and kind of looking at the 2 guys that have bested him here in Lorain County. North Ridgeville's DeMario McCall in 2014. Do you know what he ran for? Without cheating?
I was at that game. I know that.
Oh.
Yeah, they played EC.
Okay.
And but I'm gonna say it was 4:30.
Not bad. Not a bad guess. 4:45 for DeMario McCall that night. And one more ahead of Evan Coons on that record-setting list. It was Lorain Catholic's Zach Warner in 1998. Ran for 4:38. That night. Oberlin's Kylan Bug in 2013 ran for 4:06, and Marco Sarigliano, my Italian brother from Colombia in 2022, ran for 4:05. So a number of 400-plus rushing yard performances.
400 club is,
That's esteemed, man. That is unbelievable, running for 400-plus, but hey, beauty of high school football sometimes, huh? All right, let's step aside and take another quick timeout. When we come back, we'll hope to hear from Kyle Clark, head coach of the Black River Pirates. His guys got a big win over Northwestern last night. What was the final on that one? 37-7. So we'll see if we can get Coach Clark on with us after this timeout. You got Rocco and Jared here with you on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We're live on the all-new WEOL.com and on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. We'll be back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco-Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco-Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at Eco-Tree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact Eco-Tree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find Eco-Tree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, The Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
Right back here at the Chronicle Telegram, Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you on another edition of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We are live on WEOL.com, the all-new WEOL.com, I should say, and also on that Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel. It's been great trying to bring you guys our local high school football coverage live and on video this season. Always nice to add a visual component as well with the audio that we've had in years past. So a big thanks to all of our sponsors, fans, listeners, everybody here at the CT that's hopped on board with kind of making this project happen. And Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you. Big thanks to the coaches who have joined us so far this morning. Hoping to hear from Kyle Clark, head coach of Black River. They got a 37-7 win over Northwestern last night to get back in the win column after taking a Week 1 L to Hillsdale. So we'll hopefully hear from him here shortly. Some more coaches coming up later on in the program. Brian Morgan will join us at about 9:50, maybe a little after, to talk about the Rangers' big win over Valley Forge. Kenny Washington and his Oberlin Phoenix get their first win in, 31 games, I think you said was the skid?
Yeah, 31 games. To me, no bigger story in the county last night than Oberlin getting that W for Coach Washington. And, again, you talk about a challenge. Somebody that stepped up and embraced it and said, yeah, we know we're going to take lumps. It's not going to be easy. And, there's going to be some struggles ahead. I mean, they get one last night, but his job's not done. And he's going to probably be the first person to tell you that because he comes from a winning culture. We'll talk more.
So, yeah, Kenny Washington, hopefully we'll hear from him at about 10. And then Rob Howes and his Wellington Dukes, they got a big win over Mapleton last night. 28-12 was the final score there. So excited to talk to Coach Howes later on in the 10 o'clock hour. All right, so as we wait for Kyle Clark, head coach of Black River, hopefully, again, we're able to have him on this morning. I know with kind of the new way that we're doing this, it's not always easy for our coaches if they're out and about at JV games, kids' soccer games, whatever they got going on Saturday mornings. It's always something, right? So why don't we do this? Michael Keefe, Chad Meyer, they were on the Stream 3 Medina County matchup last night, Jared, over at Cloverleaf as they welcomed in Keystone. This game was originally supposed to be played actually in LaGrange. I know they had a couple of stadium things going on over at Keystone or whatever it was that athletic director Jeff Holzhauer had told me they had going on. So they were able to move this one to Cloverleaf. The Colts get the big win over the Wildcats. Why don't we go ahead and play that recap video from last night? Here is Michael Keefe and Chad Meyer with head coach of the victorious Cloverleaf Colts, Justin Voorhees.
All right, welcome on in. It is post-game interview time, and what a victory for the Cloverleaf Colts over Keystone. Man, Coach, you told us before the game, Coach Justin Voorhees, by the way, here he is, the head man for Cloverleaf. You told us before the game about this kind of Coach Kids Day, just you and the kids and accountability after last week's loss. Your kids were flying out there today. Talk about just how you feel after this victory.
That's the team we saw all summer. That's the team we saw, in our two-a-days. Okay, that's what we expected to see week 1, and, we showed on film last week that they weren't doing that, and then today they did it, and it was fun to watch. That's the team that we want to be and who we should be.
Coach, I mean, it seemed like all the breaks went your way tonight. A couple of turnovers in the game. Your defense, obviously that first handoff to Wyatt McKee went for a bunch of yards, but your defense seemed to settle in after that. Talk about your defensive effort tonight.
Yeah, well, the breaks, when you get those breaks, it's because you're getting hats to the ball. You're getting extra guys to the ball, and that's what we preached all summer. Even in like 7-on-7 drills, ball hits the ground, we're scooping and scoring. We're 11 hats to the ball. We're going as fast as we can. And, when you're going that fast, they may get a cutback, they may get a play, but as long as they don't get a touchdown, we can come back and we can attack more.
Coach, you told us before the game as well, we talked about your quarterback, Isaac Smith, and you told him you wanted him to be more like assertive and get moving with his legs. And man, two things. One, he did that.
Yes.
But when he ran to the right side of your offensive line, man, there was some of those runs where you didn't see anybody even, there was 20 yards because they had things cleared for him. It seemed like he took the message, and it seems like the offensive line really responded as well.
Yeah, the line responded well, and both Isaac Smith and Ethan Gray really stepped up, compared to last week with their legs and had a great day. And, we saw something in the formation that we could get in, that we could hit the edge with either guy, and, we took advantage of it until they adjusted.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was just going to wrap it up. It's cold out here, and I think our cameraman's shaking a little bit over there. So, listen, What a performance. What a bounce back. Again, your story, everything about this game was great. And it looks like you guys got to be feeling pretty good going into the next game and going into league. A win like this can do a lot for a team moving forward, right?
Yeah, it's amazing what a difference a week makes. And, just when your kids do what they're capable of, you feel good about it. And, that was the whole thing coming back into this week was do what you're capable of doing. We're a good team if you do what you're capable of doing, and we showed it tonight.
Coach Justin Voorhees hanging out with us on WEOL.com. Thank you so much. Congrats on a big win. We'll see you later in the season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And there is Justin Voorhees, head coach of the Cloverleaf Colts, along with Michael Keefe and Chad Meyer, the guys on site at Lodi last night for our Stream 3 Medina County matchup on our WEOL streaming network. All right, so it does not look like we'll be able to get Kyle Clark, head coach, over at Black River this morning. That's A-okay. Figured we might have a couple of technical hiccups along the way on this new look wrap-up show. But I'll tell you who's in here nice and early, and he's a good man for doing just that. It's Brian Morgan, the head man over at North Ridgeville. He joins us now live on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. His guys get a big win last night, upending Valley Forge 37-12 was the final score there. So while I quickly try to find that story here in this morning's CT, Coach, well, thank you first and foremost for joining us. Hopefully you're able to hear us okay on your end. How we doing this morning?
I'm doing great, guys. I hope you can hear me, and I like the new format.
All right. Everybody's on board with the new format. I will gladly take that. And yeah, we got you loud and clear over on this end as well. So, Coach, diving into last night's game again, you get the 37-12 win over Valley Forge here in week 2. That moves you guys to 2-0 on the season. I guess, well, why don't we start with this before diving into last night's game? I'll ask kind of the same question I asked Jack Armstrong over in Midview, looking at his point differential. You guys have something to say on that front as well, right? You're outscoring your opponents 78-12 here through the first 2 weeks of action. I got to imagine those are two numbers that you'd be fairly pleased with, no?
Yeah, I was asked a lot about the questions of, is this going to challenge us? Is this going to get us ready for the Southwestern Conference? And, one of the things that we really liked about our schedule this year is how many young guys that we have who are playing Friday Night Lights for the first time. And, it gave us the opportunity to get our young offensive linemen some great reps before we head into, some of our bigger weeks coming up. And, it's been great to see the growth of that team. It's been great to see our defense, starting out on such a good note, from the beginning of the year. And, we're really happy with the progress we're seeing. And, we stress to the guys every day that they got to make sure that they're ready to go and get better because we know what our conference holds.
Well, you mentioned the kind of the newness with that group up front. I mean, it was all 5 that you had to replace on the offensive line, correct?
Yeah, Jason Ellison, our senior center, was a rotational guy. So the starters are all graduated, but Jason was just as good as some of the other guys that we had on our offensive line, and he's doing a great job. He anchors our offensive line for us, and I think he even knows what the backs are supposed to do on every play. So he's done a great job this year. One of our strongest, best linemen with his footwork and things like that. So he really is the guy that is the linchpin for that offensive line.
For the rest of the guys, I mean, you told me this was a group that would have to grow up very fast this fall in order to, like you said, get ready for that meat grinder of an SWC schedule. So far through 2 weeks, what have you seen from those guys up front, especially the 4, totally new guys up front, kind of getting their first taste of that Friday night varsity experience? I'm sure there's obviously things that you'll look at film this morning if you haven't already, and some things to adjust and things that you'd like to see that group do better. But I'm sure that they've shown some positives, right, through these first 2 weeks of play.
Sure. Yeah. We talked about young guys, but on the defensive side, we're starting 10 seniors, and they're guys that, didn't, if they didn't start on defense, they started on offense for us last year. So they're all guys that have experience playing on Friday nights. And, that is the side of the ball that we start building from first. You could see it in the last few years with how good our defense has been because we're a 2-platoon team, and we want to try to make sure that we can keep people out of the end zone, and it's worked out well for us the last 3 years. And, offensively, everybody knows Zach Barnhart in the county, a guy that has been one of the best players in the area all 4 years that he has started for us. And a new look for him this year. He caught 2 passes for us last night with some big gains. And Cole Miller, who is now 6'5", 230 pounds, and one of the strongest guys on our team, is a lot smoother. Starting in year 3, he's executing at a pretty high level right now. And, I know he's just going to continue to get better as the season goes on. So with those 2 guys, it's been pretty good for us to be able to go into games and know that they're going to make some plays. And it gives our offensive line some confidence that, they don't have to be perfect. They just got to get us a seam so those guys can make some plays downfield.
Cole Miller, you said 6'5", 230, and that's your quarterback coach?
Yeah, he tried out with some MAC teams this summer as a H-back because not only can he run and throw, he can also catch the ball pretty well too. So he's just a great all-around athlete. And I kept taking him over to measure him all offseason because he's still growing.
And going back to the basketball campaign, I think we can vouch that, the 6'5" part definitely makes sense. The 235, that's certainly impressive. And I want to go with basketball for a second, Brian, because people that are familiar with your career know that you were the coach at North Ridgeville for a number of years. You've had a group go through that has been under your tutelage now forever in football, and you've graduated that class. Is there anything you could take away from your time with basketball that compares to what it is with football in terms of the turnover? Because you're talking about a 12 to 14 man roster now to 75 to 80 that you have to account for. What's been the challenge for you in that regard?
Yeah, I think that any good coach needs to reflect on their experience and not just the good things, but what things could you do better? And I was just telling somebody the other day, you get stagnant sometimes if you're in a position for a long time. We're constantly trying to figure out what's a better way to communicate to kids, parents, what's a better way to develop our youth guys, and even the culture stuff of, culture is something that changes and could change every single day. So you have to stay on top of it. And, my experience with basketball, prepared me for this. And, it was a fresh start with a new program. And, we're all buying in to try to make sure that each year the North Ridgeville Rangers from first grade all the way up to senior year are getting the best experience and the best out of us as our coaching staff.
And for you and your staff, Brian, is that a testament when you look at the numbers, you look at the success, the kids that are coming up now that are freshmen, let's even say, your 7th and 8th graders, their theory is that they know nothing but winning, success, that, you're going to, and to the point where I think you've established it yourself. And I'm sure in a private moment or two, you would explain to us that 7 wins just isn't good enough at North Ridgeville any longer in terms of making that the standard. So, talk about how that happens and how you guys have basically taken it upon yourselves to grow that.
Yeah, I had a meeting with some of our seniors, some of our leaders in the spring, and that was one of the things we brought up is, if we have a winning season this year, our seniors will have never seen a losing varsity regular season in their high school career. And, I said, how do we, the coaches, we remember what year 1 was like. We remember what year 2 was like. And, it was, the success was built off the backs of hardworking kids. And, how do we continue, reminding us that? And that's the thing that we try to stress with our core values. And it's the thing that we try to stress every day in practice is, this program didn't just change overnight. It changed with a ton of hard work in the weight room, a ton of hard work out on the turf, and then a commitment to being the best people that we could be. And, we had a great class that we graduated last year that bought into it. And we're hoping that, those role models that they were sort of set the tone for these guys. And, our senior class is doing a great job of leading the young guys that we have now. And I just want to make sure that our kids don't take it for granted.
Absolutely. Certainly understand the mindset behind that. So, you guys moved to 2-0 now, again, with the win over Valley Forge last night. You'll hit the road for one more non-conference game before you jump into SWC action. You go to North Royalton next Friday night, and, you don't got to reveal all the secrets and the X's and O's, right? We never ask for that. But are there just a couple of things still that you'd maybe like to see cleaned up, improved upon, whatever, in that non-conference finale next Friday night over at North Royalton?
Yeah, when we were up against North Olmsted, I think that execution of our blocking schemes wasn't great, and what we saw was an improvement last night. But we're still missing guys. We're still not going to the right guys on some of our plays. So, we talked about all week last week is one of our core values is unity, and all three facets of the game have to be playing well, and they all have to complement each other. And I'm the special teams coordinator, and we missed a field goal last night. We had an extra point block, so those are the things that we need to make sure are perfect. We've got Avon week 4, the first game of our conference, and anybody knows when you go in against Avon, if you're not perfect, they will exploit it. So that's what we're trying to do every single day is try to continue to get better, so when we enter our conference, we are playing our best football every single Friday night.
So what is that, about 30-45 minutes of lost sleep per every special teams blunder, or how does the math work out on that, right?
Yeah, that's right. I don't. If any varsity football coach sleeps on a Friday night, they need to send me an email and let me know exactly how they get that done. So
that's practice.
You sit there and you watch the film, and it's stuff that you stress over and over again, and you're ready to throw something against the wall. But the kids are kids, and that's why we do it. It's because they need guidance and they need our leadership. So our kids are great kids, and they take it. They like hard coaching, and it's going to be great to see us improve every week.
I certainly think so. There's some folks within the scope of high school football fandom that understand what you guys do as head coaches, but there's some that don't. And I think what you guys are able to do each and every week, and just managing those emotions, especially on Friday night after a game, win or lose, it's just a lot to have to try to corral and handle, and then get right back after it Saturday morning. So, Coach, as always, hats off to you and your guys for another victory, hard-earned victory last night over Valley Forge. Thank you very much for joining us here on this new look wrap-up show. Appreciate you bearing with us with the changes, and here's hoping to some more Saturday morning conversations with you as the season goes on.
Yeah, I said every time, if I get to talk to you guys, things went really well on Friday night. So I hope I get to talk to you very often this year.
Right on. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it, and have a great rest of the weekend.
You too.
And that is Brian Morgan, head coach of the North Ridgeville Rangers, rounding us out on the 9 o'clock hour of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. And I mean, he's got it rolling over there, right? And you can hear it just kind of with the way he talks about the program, his kids. The floor has been raised over there. Expectations have been raised with that Ranger program. It's just a matter of keeping that sustained. They'll look to finish out the non-conference on the road next week against North Royalton. But as he talked about, you jump right back into the SWC, and that is about as unforgiving of a conference slate as you can get.
Well, first of all, I got to thank him, because nobody really looks forward to talking to us on a Saturday. So from the bottom of our hearts, Coach, thanks for that. But, and you mentioned it, you get into SWC play, and not only you get into conference play, you do it with Avon right off the bat. So, you talk about guys and philosophies that have risen to the challenge. That's Coach Morgan over there in Ridgeville.
Yeah, no question. So big thanks to all the coaches who joined us here in the 9 o'clock hour. Seriously, cannot thank them enough for hopping on board this new look Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. I know with us doing a little bit differently, this Zoom type setup that we got now, we're asking a lot of our coaches to have to join us in this new fashion, but a big thanks to all the guys who've been able to do that so far and joining us. So we really appreciate their efforts. All right, so we'll take a quick timeout. We'll regroup. When we come back, we'll hop into our 10 o'clock hour. A couple more coaches to get to. We'll hear from Kenny Washington of the Oberlin Phoenix. They got their first win since 2021, knocking off Brooklyn last night, 13-12, the final score there. And then Rob Howell's Wellington Dukes picked up a 28-12 victory over Mapleton. So we'll hear from him as well. And the Buckeyes get their new campaign started. What's that, a noon kickoff, right? Today against Texas.
It's a big noon kickoff.
Which, I mean, I guess we can talk about that more. But, man, Ohio State, Texas to start the season. Let's get it under the lights. Just kidding, a noon kickoff. I guess you have different schools of thoughts with that. But
well, for some of us, so many social engagements, so little time. Maybe the noon kickoff's good. You can do
sure.
the best of both worlds in terms of what your holiday weekend evening plans might have to offer.
This guy is popular
I
over
don't know
here. He's
about
got
that.
all kinds of Saturday night plans. So either way, we'll hear from a couple more coaches here in that 10 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Buckeyes and see what other fun we can get into in the 10 o'clock hour. It's the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar live with you here this morning from the Chronicle Telegram. We'll be right back.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco-Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco-Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at Eco-Tree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact Eco-Tree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find Eco-Tree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
Back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show live here at the Chronicle Telegram. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you back for the 10 o'clock hour of the program. And again, a huge thanks to all the coaches who joined us thus far in the 9 o'clock hour. We heard from Mike Rice of Columbia, Bill DeFucci over at Vermilion, Jack Armstrong from Midview, Brian Morgan of North Ridgeville. Again, all kind enough to share some time with us here this morning. And a big thanks to our sponsors for hopping on board today as well. Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, of course, the main sponsor for this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, right? Stewart's TV and Appliance right here in Elyria, and then Eco-Tree Services as well. Radio voice of the Cavs, Tim Alcorn, voicing the spots there for Eco-Tree Services. So again, big thanks to all of our sponsors here this morning. Again, Kenny Washington from Oberlin will join us here in a couple of short minutes, hopefully, to talk about a big, and I do mean big, win for his Phoenix over Brooklyn last night. 13-12 was the final score there. Just excited to talk about a Phoenix win. First time we've been able to do that in a couple of years. 2021, the last time the Phoenix saw themselves victorious when it was all said and done under the Friday Night Lights. And then Rob Howes from Wellington, he'll join us as well here at about 10:20. They got a big win over Mapleton last night, 28-12, the final score there. So we'll hear from Coach Howes. Why don't we recap our scores from last night, Jared, as we always do. Hopefully our viewers have been able to see the scrolling ticker there at the bottom of the screen to provide you with those scoring updates. So you don't have to be, locked in at the top of each hour to find those scores here on the wrap-up show anymore. You can just follow along on that ticker as the morning rolls along. But I'll kick things off here, Jared, with our games on our WEOL streaming network. It was Lorain over Elyria on our YouTube game at WEOL.com and on the CT YouTube channel. 41-14, the final there. The Titans get past the Pioneers. It was Vermilion upending Firelands in the Stillman Cup 42-12 on stream 2. And our Medina County matchup on stream 3 saw the Colts of Cloverleaf knock off Don Griswold's Keystone Wildcats 22-6.
Scores for our teams in the Lorain County League. Black River knocks off Northwestern 37-7. Woodridge gets the better of Brookside, blanking the Cardinals 28-0. Cardinals outscored shutout so far in the 2025 campaign. Westlake defeats Clearview 35-14. Columbia got the better of Fairview 27-20 in a tight affair. We caught up with Mike Rice in hour number 1 of the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. It was Oberlin, as we mentioned, defeating Brooklyn, getting that first W in a, about almost 5 years
Right.
coming up here
Right.
in terms of that. We'll effort Kenny Washington very shortly. Hope to catch up with him. 13-12, his Phoenix victorious, and Wellington knocks off Mapleton 28-12. Rob Howell's coming up later this hour.
A couple of scores within the SWC, again, still non-conference affairs here in week 2, but it was the Avon Eagles going down to Florida to take on the Spruce Creek Hawks. But unfortunately for the Fighting Mike Elders, they fall short 25-22, the final score there. So Avon will return home this upcoming Friday night for our YouTube game on WEOL.com, and on the Chronicle Telegram YouTube channel will be Glenville coming to Avon to take on the Eagles. I'll have the call for you guys this Friday night again on WEOL.com and on the Chronicle Telegram
Red
YouTube.
hot Glenville. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're right.
You see that they got another win last night against Olentangy.
That's who they beat last night. Well, it was Massillon week 1.
Massillon
I know
week
that.
1,
I saw the
Olentangy,
highlights.
State champion last year, so they are loaded for bear coming into Lorain County. Sorry to cut you off. I was just like, wow. When I saw that score last night, I'm like, man, these are close games, but what would you expect for Ted Gideon Company? I mean, they're going to be the battle-tested Tar-Blooders.
Well, like I said, I saw the highlights from that week 1 win that they had over Massillon. I got an uncle and some cousins that live down there, and an aunt as well that live down there in Massillon, so I like to keep tabs on them, but that was an impressive win for Glenville there, no doubt about that. Buckeye upends Amherst 21-13. That's been a really good non-conference game the last couple of seasons. Midview over North Olmsted 27-20, as we talked about with Jack Armstrong. Brian Morgan talked about his North Ridgeville Rangers knocking off Valley Forge 37-12. Euclid upends Berea Midpark 28-26, and Olmsted Falls and Tom DeLuca, they get by Brunswick 29-15, and it was Mayfield knocking off Elyria Catholic 28-13. So Mayfield completes the sweep, so to speak, of the Elyria schools.
City champs.
Right? City champs. Oh my God. It's enough out of you. You're in timeout for a couple of minutes. All right. So I do see Kenny Washington has joined us here at the bottom of the screen. So I'll tell you what, why don't we just add him right to the stage here? Kenny Washington, head coach of the Oberlin Phoenix, here joins us. I see you turned the mic on there. So, Coach, hopefully you're able to hear us okay. We're so far so good with our other coaches that have joined us so far. So we appreciate you joining us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. How are we doing today?
Yes, sir. Hey, I'm here. You guys sound beautiful. Let's go.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, glad you can hear us over there, Coach. We got you loud and clear on this end. And let's just talk about, getting the win last night, right? Something that the Oberlin Phoenix have not been able to say or hadn't been able to say for 31 straight games prior to last night. 2021 was the last time that, your Oberlin team had seen victory. I know you weren't there for that, but just talk to me about getting that win, right? Again, 31 straight games. You guys put that losing streak to a halt. You get the win over Brooklyn last night. Talk to me just about the emotions and the feelings from you, your staff, the kids in that locker room, just that whole program. You guys got to be feeling tremendous this morning.
Oh, definitely, man. It's a real feeling. First thing I want to say, just hats off to the kids. They played a hard fought game last night. Nothing was given to those kids last night. They definitely earned, the win, the victory, and the community. Shout out to them for rallying and staying down. But again, just really hats off to the kids for sticking through the process. Taking the L's, taking the lumps, learning from it. And responding, they fought through adversity, for 3 years, 4 years, some of these seniors. So last night was just a testament to them, just to keep continuing to push through adversity, trust the program, trust the coaching staff. And it was truly just a big time win for the city.
You mentioned a couple of kids that have been here for this this rebuild or whatever you'd like to call it with what you got going on over there at Oberlin. Drew Walter, he gets the go-ahead touchdown for you guys in that fourth quarter. You get the defensive stop afterwards to steal the victory. But talk to me about Drew's game last night and just sort of what he's meant to this team, this program, and what kind of kid he's been for you to coach.
Oh man, Drew's a excellent kid. Drew's one of those type of guys, you wish you could have more of on your team. He's really a leader for us on and off the field. Dude's a 4.0 student in the classroom. And on the field, he's a leader for us, and we can put him at any position. He'll get his max effort. So last night, again, it's not new to us. We see this every day in the hallways, in the practice field. Just continuing that success and having that translate on the field. And then for him to get his first W, in Oberlin in his career, it's a big, huge step for him. But Drew's not settled. We're attacking the weight room right now. I stepped out to take this interview, so we're ready to go for the next week.
And Coach, you're not all that far removed from some of your players in terms of the high school ranks. Certainly, I remember watching you. I believe that was under a Dave McFarland, Coach Lorain team, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you came from a culture of winning and some turnaround too. You were part of a group that said, "Yeah, we can do this. We got to work together to build." But you guys had just incredible success under Coach McFarland. Talk about how that translates to what you're able to impart onto these individuals now.
Oh man, Coach McFarland, the lessons he taught me when I was playing for him, and I still talk to him now, probably once a week. We catch up with each other. He can still continues to feed me information that I can learn from his long career. But yeah, like you said, I've seen it before. I played in it. And then my first year coaching at Lorain, we went 0-10. The second year, I think it was 9-1. So I got to coaching it as well. And just seeing it through, really just the process. It's not an overnight thing. Um, first year, really just build ourselves, build our team up, and just put that mindset of winning. A lot of these kids, like you said, you go 31 games, that mindset of winning, flushes out somewhere in that point. So getting these kids back on track, putting confidence in them. Last night was definitely a big confidence boost for us. But it's just to say the light at the end of the tunnel is there. Just keep working, keep digging for it, and you're gonna get it.
Coach, at what point is it for you to be a beacon for these kids? I've got to believe in myself in order for them to believe in themselves and us to have a chance to win. When you go, like you said, from being in a winning culture and knowing what it takes to win to then having some challenges and some struggles, how hard is it to look in the mirror every morning? Is like, I got to believe in me for these kids to believe.
Oh man, well, I tell you what, today was a definite change in a wake up on a Saturday morning. It's definitely some rough times. Sometimes where the outside can't see those long nights staying up. Trying to change things, trying to fix things. But
Yeah.
truly just staying down to myself. And it's really I know I have the buy-in from the kids. I know I have the buy-in from the community. So that makes it 1,000 times easier for them. To trust me going in. And like I said, I've seen it before. I've played in it. I know how to win. We know how to get it done. It's just putting in the little things, stacking good days on top of each other, correcting the little details, and good things will happen.
Were you able to kind of see it this morning, Coach, when you guys got in for weightlifting? I know you said you're going through it now, so we'll let you go here shortly so you can get back in the weight room with those guys. But I got to imagine just seeing the kids walk through the doors this morning, there had to be just kind of a different look about them, right? A different energy about the way they were coming into the facility. And not to say that they didn't have good energy, right? I think all of our schools do a great job, win or lose, and coaches do a great job of getting the kids rallied together the next morning. But especially for you guys, I got to imagine there was sort of some new life into that weight room this morning.
Oh yeah, man, definitely a spark. And truly what these kids needed. Like we said, they haven't felt it. So the spark, we're gonna ride this thing out. Like I said, these kids are ready to work. Whatever new motivation they found after getting that W, we're gonna ride that thing out, and we're getting ready.
Brooklyn, a lot of good athletes on their team. And I'll just, one more from last night's game, if you don't mind, Coach. Brooklyn, people always talk about the athletes they got over there, and they certainly do. You guys hold them to 12 points. So I mean, defensively, I got to imagine there were a lot of positives to take away from the way that side of the ball played last night, no?
Oh man, shout out to our defensive coordinator, Coach Howard Chambers, over on that side of the ball. Those kids played lights out. They only scored one offensive touchdown. We gave up a silly mistake on a field goal that they took back for 6 after a botched snap. But man, those kids played lights out and only allowed 6 points all night back against their wall, back against the end zone. Those kids fought, fought, snap after snap. And then, we played both sides of the ball. So if those kids that turned it around that quick, and they go make a drive, with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, dude, it was definitely felt like it was written in stone that night. And those kids earned it.
You guys certainly earned that victory last night, and we're just tickled to see that result on social media last night. I was over at Firelands for Vermilion and Firelands, but I was curious to see how that game with you guys in Brooklyn would play out. And so when I saw that Phoenix had, squeaked out that 1-point victory, I was excited to be able to text you this last night anyway to try to get you on this morning, and we're certainly thrilled to be able to talk to you this morning, Coach. So, hey, congratulations again on just a huge victory for you, your kids, your program last night, and here's hoping that we're having some more Saturday morning conversations with you later on this season.
Hey, man, sounds good to me. I appreciate it. It was a pleasure speaking with both of you gentlemen.
You got it. Thank you for joining us,
Pleasure's
Coach, and
here.
have a great rest of the weekend. That's Kenny Washington, head coach of the Oberlin Phoenix, kind enough to join us here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Again, they get a huge win over Brooklyn last night, 13-12, the final score there. So really appreciate the time there. I see Coach Howes has joined us at the bottom of the screen. He's been waiting for a little while here. So, Coach, just bear with us for like another minute. We're going to get a couple of spots in here, and when we come back, see, I think you can hear me down there. See him smiling down there.
This thing's working, huh?
Oh my gosh. All right, let's sneak in a quick timeout. Oh yeah, he's laughing down there. We'll get a quick 60-second timeout. We'll bring you right in when we come back. And Rocco and Jared with you here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Don't go anywhere. Coach Howes coming up next.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down. Or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, Cavs radio voice. Recently, we had some trees removed. So again, singing the praises of EcoTree Services. In a few hours, EcoTree had removed the unsightly trees, cleaned the debris, and opened the area for a new fence. I can't say enough good things about the people at EcoTree. I've used them several times, always thrilled with their work. If you have trees that require pruning or need to be removed, contact EcoTree, a local business that deserves your business. They've earned mine. Go to ecotreeservices.com.
Back here on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Rocco, Nuosci, Jared Kozar here with you live at the Chronicle Telegram. And let's bring him on stage. He's been waiting patiently long enough. That's Coach Rob Howes of the Wellington Dukes joining us here this morning. Coach, well, I think you can hear us okay over there, right? How we doing this morning?
Yeah, doing great. Thanks, guys, for having me on.
No, thank you very much for joining us. We got you loud and clear on this, and you're our first guest to join us with the actual video feed this morning. So we really appreciate you efforting that. And let's talk about last night, right? A 28-12 victory over Mapleton. You guys moved to 1-1 now on the campaign. This one, a home win in front of that home crowd. So I'm sure just that in and of itself, right? You get your first win of 2025. You do it in front of the home crowd. I'm sure there's a lot of positive feelings that come out of that one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, Wellington's a great community when it comes to athletics. No matter what it is, they come out and they support. So to get our first one here in front of them after taking it on the chin last week at home is huge, and it was great to see. Just great for our town and community.
Gavin Wacker, 3 touchdowns for him, 2 of which land in the hands of Connor Kinsner, as I'm reading here in the Chronicle Telegram. So talk to me about Gavin's night. Obviously, seems like he was pretty efficient and pretty good decision-making from that young man, no?
Yeah, his second start on a Friday night, really bounced back, really liked what we've seen from him, and I knew he would be that kid. He does a lot of work behind the scenes, watching film, sitting down with me, going over his reads and progressions, and had a rough week 1 outing, but, did a really nice job taking control of the game, managing the game, taking care of the football yesterday. Again, found Connor Kinsler for 2. Big-time touchdowns, one to start us off and one to kind of put the game away at the end, and then one to Justin Cottrell there in the middle of all that as well.
Coach, you mentioned you took it on the chin last week, Western Reserve, a familiar opponent, but they're a quality ball club. Cliche to say, but the biggest improvement is between week 1 and week 2, but it seems like that was the case for you and your guys this week in taking something out of that defeat last week.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Gavin is one of many that made their first ever Friday night start last week. We had a big, strong senior class last year, and we have a big 12-man senior class this year, but a lot of them were rotational guys, role players last year. So, and some of them maybe didn't even touch the field. So I think that maturation and kind of, getting those jitters and Friday night light nervousness out of the way, it really helped.
We've been talking to coaches throughout the morning, Coach Howes, and just coming up with kind of where they're at in their coaching career. And I'm going to take a big gamble here. Is this year 7 for you?
Yeah, just finished 7. This is year 8.
This is year 8. Okay, so I knew I was close. I was like, he's 7 or 8 years in. Yeah. But, talk about the expectations in terms of when you got to Wellington, they were starving. And, you took some lumps. you developed and you said, we're going to get better. We're going to continue to get better. And it was, very reminiscent of what you've seen in interviews when somebody takes over a program at a college level and says, you're going to be really proud of the way they perform, not only here at home, but, once we go into conference play too. So you've kind of figured out some of these steps so far. What's the next step as far as getting into the thick of things in the Lorain County League?
Again, I think you just got to trust that process. We don't really talk about wins. We talk about the process and what winning requires. The hard work, the dedication, the tough two-a-days, the focus and mental attitude. As you guys said, was backstage. I texted Kenny last night. When I showed up, it was a very Oberlin type situation. We had like 20 guys out for football. They went 0-10 the year before. We were able to break a 19-game losing streak that year, really gain momentum and had things going. I think COVID kind of derailed us a little bit. And now we're getting back to that, and getting back to kids playing football and being excited about playing football. And, we just got to trust that process and keep grinding and hopefully the wins and the competition in the Lorain County League, gets a little closer. And I think Wellington, from my early years to now, has gone from a team that you kind of enjoyed playing because it was almost a guaranteed win to a team now that it's going to be a little harder to get that win. And we're going to fight no matter what the score is, and we're going to bring a tough brand of football with us.
Coach, you mentioned some of the turnover that you had, with that strong senior class, and we talked a lot about that group last year, right? Just some incredible athletes that are now onto their adulthood, right? Starting their lives as young men. And kudos to you with what you guys did with that senior class. But talk to me about, and I'm not trying to spin this into a negative by any means, right? We're celebrating a big 28-12 victory for you guys last night over Mapleton. But what were some of the challenges, I guess, this summer for you guys and just trying to get things implemented? I know Jared and I were kind of talking about it earlier. Summers with high school football, it's not as it once was many moons ago. We're able to really hammer it and get after it. Things have kind of lightened up a bit, and we certainly understand why that's the case. But what are some of the challenges with just trying to get everything organized and set with just so much?
Yeah, luckily I'm blessed. I really am. I got a great group of kids, and it really wasn't a challenge. We have 34 kids on roster, and we probably average mid-20s at 6 a.m. workouts all summer long.
Wow.
So when you got that kind of buy-in and guys putting in the work and wanting to be good, those sorts of things take care of themselves. I think the speed of the game and the learning curve and the thought process and football IQ is probably the biggest struggle of it all. But again, just have to have that patience and perseverance and keep attacking it, and keep pumping them up. And as you guys were talking with Kenny, it starts with me and my belief, and I have to display that and bring the energy, and that just trickles down to the players and the senior leaders, and guys like Trey Moore holding the players accountable and showing that leadership and energy on the field and in the film sessions and that sort of thing.
Rob, just really quickly, you mentioned that your morning workouts and the summer workouts and the commitment from the kids, and you actually referenced it to start this interview about the families and the community in Wellington. The southern end of Lorain County is not always conventional when it comes to that. You've got kids that are quite literally working a job with their family in some sort of aspect of life, and then they're coming to get with you in your program. So you grow up fast, I guess, once you get in that end of the county, and just talk about the commitment level from both the kids and the parents.
Yeah, I love to see it. It's what it takes to be good, and that's kind of been our message all off season, and that's what we need to get to. I think coming out of COVID that's where we struggle, but we got a group of families and players that are buying into that. As you said, working on farms, doing horses. I'm actually kind of looking forward to week 3 because it's probably our first week without distractions. We had school last week. We had the fair during week 1.
Fair.
So really kind of looking forward to a week, hopefully without distractions and something new going on where we can just focus on football. But hats off to them. And then the other thing about, Southern Lorain County is the square mileage, right? I have guys that have a 10-minute car ride in, and that 6 a.m. workout is rough, or guys that are freshmen and can't drive, so mom or dad got to get up and bring them in. And or a great now senior class that took it upon themselves to go pick up kids that couldn't get here and make sure that they were here. So again, it's one of the things we say down here is it takes a village, and in order to have a good football team, it really does. And we have that mindset right now, which is awesome.
Certainly heard you, utter that phrase a couple of times over the years with our interviews, Coach, and it's true, right? I mean, you're not blowing smoke with that. That is very much kind of how you guys operate over there in Wellington. So incredible to see, and incredible to see the results pay off for you guys, right? Again, last night as well with the 28-12 win over Mapleton. So, Coach, one more non-conference for you guys next week as you jump into conference play. I guess just one last one before we let you go. What would be maybe a thing or two that you'd like to see in the non-conference finale before jumping into Lorain County League play?
Yeah, again, just that next process, guys getting more comfortable in their roles, guys executing better. We had a huge jump. We had 8 turnovers in week 1, and we had none yesterday. We had multiple penalties in week 1. We only had a couple yesterday. So those cliche things that coaches say, again, that's what wins football games. So if we can keep doing that and then still playing tough, our defense is flying around still, again, led by Trey Moore in the middle. He had another 25 tackles last night. I mean, it's just amazing. If we need to get healthy, stay healthy, and then have that process happen, and hopefully, it'll be a better year in league for us.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to seeing how that plays out for you guys. So, Coach, thank you very much for joining us here this morning on this new look wrap-up show. We appreciate you bearing with us in the new setup. Seems like it's working A-okay. So, congrats again on the win last night, and here's hoping to some more Saturday morning conversations with you as the season goes on.
Of course. Thank you guys for everything.
You got it. And that's Rob Howells, head coach of the Wellington Dukes, kind enough to share some time with us here this morning on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. I see Ron and company have joined us down below as they maybe get the camera situation figured out over there or what have you. So I'll tell you what, why don't we sneak in a quick timeout? When we come back, it'll be Ron Jans, one of our talents here at WEOL and at the Chronicle Telegram. He'll join us next to talk about whatever we're going to talk about with Ron Jans. After this timeout, we'll be back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Don't go anywhere.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about EcoTree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted EcoTree. They did an incredible job. The folks at EcoTree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact EcoTree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find EcoTree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Back on the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show, Rocco, Jared Kozar here with you, hoping to hook up with Ron Jans here shortly, as I see he's joined us down below. I'm not sure if he's ready to
doing housework.
Is he ready to? He's taking us around. We're getting a tour of the Jans household, I think, right now. We'll throw him on stage now. There he is. Ron Jans has joined us now on stage. Ron, can you hear us okay over there on your end?
I hear you great. Can you guys hear me?
We sure can.
We can see you as well.
Yeah. Second video guest. You got the Buckeye hat on there, so you guys certainly did the color coordination a little bit better than me this morning. And obviously, we're talking to you about what the 1995 Indians team, the celebration of them, the anniversary of that group. Ron, I know you were on hand at Progressive Field for some festivities regarding that crew last night. But real quick, before we dive into that, looking forward to this Buckeye season lid lifter at noon against the old Hook'em Texas Longhorns. What do we think of that matchup?
You know what, Rocco? One of the stress-free thoughts about that matchup for me today is because of the current state of the college football playoff, it doesn't matter who wins this game or who loses it. So we're a huge Buckeye family. 3 of our 4 kids graduated from Ohio State. My wife graduated from Ohio State. My father-in-law graduated from Ohio State. And so, I was at Ohio University Scripps School of Journalism. The kids that couldn't get into the Scripps school got bumped up or down the road to Ohio State. So, OU is number one in journalism school. I'll just point that out.
It took 30
but
seconds.
anyways, it should be a great matchup today. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'll watch it stress-free because, like I said, all you have to do is do what the Buckeyes did last year, get into that playoff, and then run the table.
I'm going to disagree with that. I think you do want to be able to set the tone, and you want to say number one's coming into your backyard. You got to take care of that. Looks like you're getting ready to do some housework, Ron. So you understand that as much as anybody. But I think that it's fair to say with a freshman quarterback and not a freshman, first year guy in Julian saying it's a situation for the Buckeyes coming off of a national championship where you want to say pick up right where we left off and leave no doubt this time.
Oh, for sure, Jared. I mean, 100%. You're right about, wanting to win. I'm just saying if you lose, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world, but it presents its own, I'm looking forward to noon.
There you go. So, Ron, you were on hand at Progressive Field last night, again, celebrating that 1995 Cleveland Indians team. So just talk to me about the festivities last night down there at Progressive Field. Obviously a happy crowd as they all went home. Guardians get the 5-4 walk-off win. Stephen Kwan, the sacrifice fly that brought home Brian Rocco. But just talk to me about that 95 team celebration last night, just sort of your involvement with what you're doing with that team right now.
Well, the way that it ended, they channeled the 1995 team. I mean, obviously, I don't want to compare the 2025 Guardians to the 95 Indians because I don't know anybody in Major League Baseball history that can really compare to the talent on that 95 team, even though they didn't win a World Series. But it was great for me to be there, Rocco and Jared. What I'm planning to do is, for like the last month, maybe I've been doing interviews with what I thought were 4 guys on that club. I covered that team in 95 when I was a sports reporter at Channel 3. And I've talked to 4 guys that I thought I had maybe like a connection to. As much as a reporter and an athlete can have a connection, you've got to be careful with that. But so I've talked to Jim Thome, Carlos Baerga, Charlie Nagy, and Sandy Alomar. And I'm going to sit down with Mike Hargrove coming up soon. And then what I plan to do is write a series. Julie Wallace, the managing editor at the Chronicle, I pitched this idea to her, and she was interested in it. So like a series, a story on each, not one big story, but 5 smaller stories. And my idea with that is to kind of introduce you to who these guys were before they became, a part of that 95 club. And the love of baseball that they had as youngsters, and then how that 95 thing kind of just culminated everything. So, because for me as a reporter, that was the first time in 41 years that the Indians had won the American League pennant. I'm a Northeastern Ohio kid, Grafton kid, Indians fan growing up, born in 65. So in 75, when I was at my, really starting to feel the fandom of the Indians, Frank Duffy, the shortstop, was my favorite player. So for me as a reporter in 95 to cover that team and to see them do what they did was really special. So it's nice for me to kind of go back down memory lane. I got to thank Curtis Danberg and Bart Swain from the Guardians. They've been very helpful to me reconnecting with those players. So it's been real fun.
Ron, those guys do a heck of a job. You're right. And they make it real easy to be able to make those guys presentable for us and put us in that spot to have those kind of conversations. You mentioned, that 95 team, and this is where Rocco, wise beyond his years, but I forget sometimes that he's that young. Rocco was not around when that 95 team took the field and played nearly 700 ball that summer. That's a strike shortened season. So 100 up, 44 down in a season that I don't think we'll ever see the likes of again. But for somebody that was, a little bit younger at the time and had never seen any sort of success reach that level for the Cleveland Indians at the time, it was a situation when postseason play presented itself. You weren't sure how it was going to go. Like, yeah, they won the 100 games, but they've got a good Seattle team coming in. Ironic that they faced the Mariners this weekend, and boasting one of the best players in baseball history in Ken Griffey Jr. and Randy Johnson and just a slew of other players that were just really good contributors at the time. You think to yourself, yeah, we got the 100 wins and things are looking great, but we don't know how this is going to go.
Well, you're right. Rocco. I mean, Jared, and they sweep the Red Sox in the opening round, the divisional series round. Then they play that team that you mentioned, the Mariners, with guys like Randy Johnson. And by the way, Dan Wilson was the catcher on that Mariners team. He's now the current manager of the Mariners. And yesterday, Kenny Lofton was talking about scoring from second base on the pass ball. Ruben Amaro came home from third. If you guys remember in that ALCS, it's epic. It's, it lives forever.
Great individual effort.
Kenny scores from second. Dan Wilson was the catcher when Lofton scored on that wild pitch, pass ball, and Randy Johnson, of course, the pitcher. Carlos and Kenny were talking about how Kenny would start every game showing bunt. Randy Johnson would throw the second pitch at Kenny's head. Randy wanted to kill Kenny, then he wanted to kill Omar, and then when Carlos came up to bat, Carlos would get like good pitches because chances were good that either Lofton or Omar were on because Randy Johnson tried to kill them. So those are the words of Baerga and Lofton. I'm not making that up. So it was fun. It was a great run. Tom Hamilton yesterday hosted a session with Tommy, Nagy, Baerga, Lofton, and manager Mike Hargrove, and there was a group of fans there, and in the terrace hall. And Tom, when he was wrapping it up, I think had delivered the line of the night as he always does. He said, "And thank God Joe Brinkman didn't show up tonight." And Rocco won't remember, but Joe Brinkman was the home plate umpire in Game 6 of that 1995 World Series. And not only was it Game 6, but many games where in that series where Maddox, Schmaltz, Glavine, just the strike zone just kept expanding, and not to have sour grapes, but it's the truth. It was an awful display of balls and strikes in a strike zone that clearly favored a pitch-heavy Atlanta Braves team. But Hammy said it great when he said, "Thank God Joe Brinkman didn't show up."
Hey, well, now like Jared alluded to, and Ron, I was not around for that, but I've certainly seen highlights, whether on YouTube, social media, whatever. And I think that kind of trio of Atlanta starting pitching, I think got the benefit of the doubt a little bit throughout that series. So, Ron, I guess my last one here for you, as we're hoping to hook up with Kyle Clark actually here shortly. He just joined our studio, so we'll get him on right as soon as we finish up with you, Ron. But what do you think it is about, not even just that 95 team specifically, but just with so many of those 90s Indians players? Obviously, the success, I think, is what, people will remember about them. But there's just something when people talk about those 90s Indians players, even beyond the success, there's just so much infatuation with those guys and just so much respect and fandom. I mean, to this day, you walk around Cleveland, people will gladly talk about Kenny or Jim Thome, Albert Bell, Omar Vizquel, Carlos Baerga, the Sandy Alomar. I mean, just all those guys, Nagy, the skipper Hargrove. I mean, people just talk about these guys with just such infatuation and respect. Just again, aside from the success, why do you think that is?
I think it's a couple of reasons. One, you'll remember during that stretch, they started the streak of 455 consecutive sellouts at Jacobs Field. So the Indians were coming off of, Municipal Stadium, which I knew well and loved, and into a brand new ballpark. And they had, whether it was luck or actual planning, timed it so much that the team got really good when that happened. So you had all this energy in a stadium at the time, Jacobs Field, and these players were young. I remember being in Tucson, Arizona. Bobby DiBiasio, who is now, the legend in the front office, but once upon a time was the PR director. He said, "Ronnie," I need you to stay an extra day. I know the station's trying to send you back early. He says, "But there's going to be a big announcement. I need you to stay." And that announcement, Rocco and Jared, and it's something I'm going to write about, was the Indians committing long-term to young players: Omar Vizquel, Jim Thome, Carlos Baerga, Charlie Nagy, Sandy Alomar, those guys. And they signed them to long-term guaranteed contracts, which was unheard of in baseball. And the player got the guarantee and the team got long-term with young guys. And that turned into the core of that team. And then when they went into that stadium and all those sellouts happened, the team, those guys embraced those fans. They fed off those fans. Tommy talked about it yesterday. Kenny talked about it yesterday. They saluted the fans because they grew up in front of those fans, and they became family to those fans. That's why I still think they live today, Rocco. Why, I mean, yesterday when they announced those guys that came out on the field, there were 14 players that were there last night from that 95 team. The place went crazy, especially for guys like Tomey, Nagy, Baerga, and Alomar. And I think it's because those young guys at the time in 95 really embraced the fans and included the fans in everything that they did, and thanked them.
Yeah, well, that's so cool. I mean, you just don't really see that as much, certainly in pro baseball, professional sports for that matter, across the board. It's just you don't really see that as often anymore. So I think that's really cool with what that group was able to do in regards to what you just said there, Ron. So, hey, Ron, big thanks for you for joining us here this morning. We really appreciate the time. Very much looking forward to these stories that you'll have coming out about those guys, and looking forward to this Buckeye and Texas matchup here at noon. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that, and I'm sure we'll be catching up again here on another Saturday morning down the line.
Rocco, Jared, thanks. Hey, a sport in the Delaware Pacers cross-country track T-shirt. My son is the head coach down there, so go Pacers.
There it is. I was wondering what that was, so thank you for the clarification.
That's what it is.
There it is. All righty, Ron. Have a good rest of the weekend. We'll talk to you.
Good seeing you guys.
And there he is, Ron Yance, joining us. I was about to say head coach, but he's not the head coach of anything. He's just, well, I guess he
done
could,
some
but
baseball. Yeah.
Sure. Why not? So big thanks to Ron Yance for joining us here. Really appreciate his time. And he's been waiting a couple of minutes now. We'll bring him right on in. Kyle Clark, head coach of the Black River Pirates. We'll throw him on screen there. Coach, are you able to hear us okay over there on your end? Coach Clark, you got us over there? Looks like we lost him there. That's okay. We'll try to get him right back. As again, Kyle Clark from Black River, hoping to hook up with him here shortly. He got a big win over Northwestern last night. 37-7 was the final score there. So let's see if we can bring him back in here. There he is. Coach Clark joining us now on the wrap-up show. Coach, you got us over there okay?
Yeah, I got you now. Thank you.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, thank you for bearing with us this morning. Like I said, kind of a new setup here with this Zoom type setup. So I was hoping things would go well this week. So far, so good. You're our final guest here this morning. So glad you're able to hear us okay. We certainly got you loud and clear over on our end. So 37-7 victory for you guys last night over Northwestern. A nice turnaround after the week 1 loss for you guys. You followed up with a 30-point victory. And Jared kind of said it earlier, kind of that coaching cliche. You make that biggest improvement from weeks 1 to week 2. Was that kind of the case, you think, for your guys last night? Was there, a lot of things that you wanted cleaned up after week 1 that you saw get put into place last night?
Yeah, I mean, the kids did clean up a lot. They did a lot better. Maybe we simplified things a little bit, but also we weren't playing the number 2 team in Division 7 in the state either. So
yeah,
that made a big difference too. We were able to have a lot more options and spread the ball around a little bit more because of who we were playing.
Well, defensively, let's start there, right? You hold Northwestern to 7 points. I got to imagine that number is something you were pretty pleased with, coming into this morning. And as I look here, what do you guys have? 4 interceptions last night? I think if I'm reading that correctly in the Chronicle Telegram, looked like a really solid defensive effort for your Pirates last night.
Yeah, they were lights out. I know Northwestern came down and they scored on their first drive, kind of caught us off guard. Maybe we weren't up to speed yet, but then after that, our kids locked in. Yeah, 4 interceptions. I think they finished with negative something yards rushing. We sacked the quarterback 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
The kids just did great. I mean, they executed the game plan, flew around, was aggressive, and everybody was getting to the ball.
Freshman Dom Bell, what a 92-yard pick 6 for that young man. I got to imagine that was a pretty electric moment for the freshman to take a pick 6. Again, 92 yards back to the house. Get him some oxygen after that one, right?
Yeah, he's a pretty special athlete. I mean, he's starting quarterback and corner for us, and that's the type of kid he is. I mean, he's going to go out there and get it, and then he's not okay with just, hey, let me run out of bounds. He's going to cut back across the field and take it to the house if he can.
Kyle, you're a product of that system, and you've been with the program now. Year number 4 for you at the helm?
7.
Jeez. Wow. Where was my math at?
You were close before.
Okay. That was close. Yeah, sure. Close is one thing. But
everybody's trying to forget those COVID years.
Well, that might be part of it too. But, we lit off our program with Mike Rice, and again, been with Columbia for a while and took the reins over from Jason Ward. But it doesn't seem like there's a drop off in terms of the expectations, the standard for the program. And, dating back to when Al Young was the head man there at Black River, it feels like it's the same sort of situation where, you're a new guy in charge, but again, 7 years now, you're not that new. Nothing's ever really changed in terms of what the expectations of Black River football can and will be.
Yeah, I don't think the community would let me have any different expectations. It's just that's we love our football, and our kids do, and our whole community does. It's just I would hate to let everybody down and not keep that same standard.
And I guess what I mean from that aspect more is maybe your stamp is now on the program, but the lofty goals and the tradition still remain.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, anybody that knows me and knows Al Young, we're probably polar opposites.
Right.
I mean, I love him to death, and I think he would say the same. But we're completely different coaching styles and things like that. And but with the same goal in mind. I mean, we want to be as successful as we can be. I hope I can be as successful as he was, because he had a heck of a run.
Coaching again, we're joined by Kyle Clark, head coach of the Black River Pirates. They get a 37-7 win over Northwestern last night. I want to talk about a couple of more individuals, if we could. I know we just mentioned Dom Bell, but Zane Bungard looks like that young man had a big night last night for you guys as well.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable athlete, but then he has a great head on his shoulders too. He understands all the situations. Like, do I need to adjust my alignment a little bit? Maybe shorten this route a little bit. And then he understands the defense as well, because I think he had a sack last night as well, and had a lot of pressures on the quarterback. He's 6'3", 190, and he's our outside receiver, and he's our outside linebacker. It's just, you really don't see that except for in small school football, and he's just a special athlete that, get the ball in his hands as much as we can.
I was scrambling through the story here. Albert Grindle wrote it up in the Chronicle Telegram this morning about last night when you mentioned Dom Bell as your quarterback, and we don't, I guess, have to go into this if you don't want to. I had thought it was Hunter Varney coming into this season, because I know he started last year for you guys at quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, right? So was that just sort of a late change at the end of the summer? Maybe something you saw last week from Dom that impressed? Maybe Hunter just, you thought maybe he'd be better served elsewhere? Are you able to kind of share, what sort of went down, I guess, with that?
Yeah, actually, we started Zane Bungard the first, I think, 5 games of the year last year, and then we brought Hunter in. He was a freshman. He took us into the playoffs there, and he did a great job. And you never know with the freshmen coming in, so they were taking reps this summer. And Hunter actually came to me, and he's like, "Hey, coach, Dom's pretty good. Like, I think I could help the team in a different position."
Wow.
And that way we could keep Dom at quarterback. And I don't know how many kids would say that.
Yeah.
Maybe 1 out of every 1,000.
No kidding.
And he approached me about it. And that's the type of kid he is, though. He's a competitor, and wants what's best for his team. So I was probably going to make the decision after they went back and forth a little bit, but then he just made it so easy on me, because I respect the kid a ton for everything he does. And I was going to give him the biggest shot he could get, and then he came to me with that. I'm like, oh my God, this is what this team needs. More kids like him.
Man, okay. You said it. One in what, 1,000 would pick to do that, especially when it comes to quarterback, right? Because every kid dreams of being the star quarterback in high school, college, NFL, whatever, right? Like, you touch the ball every play, you're the one making the decisions, all that good stuff. So for that young man to do that, I gotta imagine that helps set a tone for the rest of the roster, right? Like, okay, if Hunter's able to be as selfless, right? Like, then who would I be as another individual to take a selfish approach and not do what's best for the team? I got to imagine that's just such a huge tone setter for a lot of the other guys on the roster, the fact that he went and did that.
It is. And we really don't have any egos on the team. And it's really nice to not have to battle that and just see the kids. They block a little bit harder for each other. It's great to watch it work.
Coach, you mentioned that, and I remember Rocco and I talking about that last year, that it was sort of the tale of 2 seasons for you, within the same campaign, and personnel made it that way. But you had to be creative, you and your staff, to get guys out there in positions to succeed. And just, I mean, talk about the ability, and maybe just not your staff, but the whole conference, I think, when you think about the Lorain County League, to reinvent themselves on a week-by-week basis, basically, once you get into league play.
Yeah, I mean, small school football, one injury can completely flip over your lineup. And we've had that happen numerous times, and I've watched it happen in our league. And the coaches in our league do a great job at, okay, what are my players really good at, and then I'm gonna tweak things so we're running more of that style of offense, or whatever it may be, defense, things like that. And they do a really good job at putting those athletes in a good position. And if you want to be successful, I think that's what you got to do. I think those days where this is my system and I'm going to find kids to fit my system, I think those days are over, because our rosters aren't overflowing.
Yeah.
So we got to use what we got.
Yeah, definitely different times across the high school football landscape. No question at all about that. So, Coach, we can close with this. We've asked a couple of our other guys this same question, but one more in the non-conference slate for you guys next week. You're on the road, I believe, over at Smithville, if I'm not mistaken. All right, awesome. So what would be, you don't have to dive into the X's and the O's, the secrets, all that good stuff, right? But maybe what's a thing or two that you'd like to see improved upon, cleaned up, or however you'd want to phrase it, right, in that non-conference finale before you jump into Lorain County League play?
I would really like to see us reset the line of scrimmage a little bit more, and get good at what the plays that we have installed, and make the right reads and things like that. Because Smithville, they're historically a very, very physical team, and from what I've seen on film, they're no different than they have been in the past. So it's going to be a dogfight for sure for us. So we need to get there with a lot of energy and be willing to fight back.
Yeah, sounds like a real good test for you guys again before jumping into conference action. So, Coach Clark, thank you very much for joining us here on this New Look Saturday wrap-up show. I'm glad everything was kind of able to go smoothly technically here with us. So, thank you very much for the time this morning. Congrats on the win last night, and here's hoping to some more Saturday morning conversations with you as the season rolls on.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You got it. That is Kyle Clark, head coach of the Black River Pirates, our final guest here on this morning's Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We greatly appreciate his time as always. So that'll pretty much do it for us here this morning. A couple of more minutes before we officially end the stream here. But Jared, I guess just all in all, not to toot our own horns here, but really awesome to kind of do it this way this morning, right? It was, our first real attempt at doing it with this new setup. I know it was just you and I, kind of the talking heads for an hour last week. We wanted to get the coaches back involved this week for obvious reasons, right? We know our listeners, our viewers, you guys tuning in on WEOL.com and on the YouTube channel at the Chronicle Telegram. You get enough of us, right, throughout the week. You definitely want to hear from the coaches after their Friday night performances. So really awesome that everything was able to go smoothly this morning. We had Ron Jans on to talk about that 95 Indians team celebration, or their anniversary rather, and sort of some of the stories that he'll be writing based off of that. But I think this will be something that our coaches and our listeners, our fans can get on board with as the season rolls on.
Well, I think it starts with, from the top, your innovations to come up with this idea, and just everybody's, conversation around this time last year to come up with a way to say, hey, we want to have a product that gives you more. You heard Mike Rice say it. First guess out of the gate said, I like it better.
We'll take that.
It took one time for somebody to say, I like it better. So, as we learn, we're going to get better. It's going to become more second nature for the coaches. But you were right in your estimation, a year ago, that said we can do this, we can expand it, and we can make it a product that's going to be more available and interactive for everybody to engage with. And I think we saw it in 2 hours. And
yeah.
that speaks volumes. And again, hats off to you. Again, this is innovation through necessity to a certain extent, but anytime you can give somebody more and engage with more, it just feels better.
Well, certainly, you got to kind of adapt with the times at times, right? So being able to do this, it's certainly, we have to effort things, certainly, right, with our setup and the technical standpoint, but we can't do it without the coaches as well. So just a huge thanks to all of the guys who joined us this morning, their ability to kind of adapt with us, bear with us through this new setup. So we really appreciate the time for them this morning. So again, a big thanks to all the head coaches who joined us. Big thanks to our sponsors this morning. on this Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. Of course, Nick Abraham, Elyria Ford, Stewart's TV and Appliance on Cleveland Street right here in Elyria, and then our friends over at Eco Tree Services. So for all of our head coaches, for Jared Kozar, I am Rocco Nuosci saying thank you for watching and listening to the Nick Abraham Saturday Sports Wrap-Up Show. We will see you guys next Saturday morning. Have a great rest of the weekend, everybody.
At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford this month, you choose. Right now, get the Escape, Mach-E, Mustang, or Bronco Sport for only $399 a month with 0 down, or the Bronco, Explorer, or F-150 for just $499 a month. At Nick Abraham Elyria Ford, we make it that easy.
High school football in Lorain County is all about tradition, pride, and community, and that's what Stewart's Appliance is built on. For generations, Stewart's has been the family-owned appliance store you can count on for quality products and personal service. From refrigerators to washers, ovens to dishwashers, Stewart's has what you need to keep your home running. Proud to support Lorain County and proud to support high school sports. Stewart's Appliance, where community comes first.
Hi, Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cavs. For several years, you've heard me talk about Eco Tree Services on WEOL. Recently, I needed trees removed, so of course, I contacted Eco Tree. They did an incredible job. The folks at Eco Tree were timely, efficient, and the work was flawless. Take it from me. When your trees need attention or even require removal, contact Eco Tree Services. Like me, you'll love their work. Find Eco Tree Services online at ecotreeservices.com.
Lorain County has a story every day. Make sure you don't miss it. From breaking news in high school sports to schools, business, and community events, the Chronicle has it all. Stay connected to your neighbors and your home team with coverage that matters most to you. Don't just hear about Lorain County, know Lorain County. Subscribe today at chroniclet.com/subscribe and get the news that keeps you in the know. The Chronicle Telegram, Lorain County's largest newspaper.